Board of Appeal hearing for January 14th, 2025 is now in session. This hearing is being conducted in accordance with the applicable provisions of the open meeting law, including the updated provisions enacted by the legislature last year. The new law allows the board to continue its practice of holding virtual hearings until March 2025. This hearing of the board is being held remotely via the Zoom webinar event platform. This hearing is also being live streamed. In order to ensure this hearing of the board is open to the public, members of the public may access this hearing through telephone and video conferencing. The information for connecting to this hearing is listed on today's hearing agenda, which is posted on the public notices page of the city's website, boston.gov. Members of the public will enter the virtual hearing as attendees, which means you will not see yourself on the screen and you will be muted throughout unless administratively unmuted when asked to comment. Board members, applicants, and their attorneys or representatives will participate in the hearing as panelists, and they will appear alongside the presentation materials when speaking. Panelists are strongly encouraged to keep the video on while presenting to the board. As with our in-person meetings, comments in support will be followed by comments in opposition. The order of comments is as follows: elected officials, representatives of elected officials, and members of the public. The chair may limit the number of people called upon to offer comment and the time for comment time constraints required. For that reason, the board prefers to hear from members of the public who are most impacted by a project. That is those individuals who live closest to the project. If you wish to comment on an appeal, please click the raise hand button along the bottom of your screen in the Zoom webinar platform. Click it again and your hand should go down. When the host sees your hand, you will receive a request to unmute yourself. Select yes and you should be able to talk. If you are connected to the hearing by telephone, please press *9 to raise and lower your hand. You must press *6 to unmute yourself after you receive the request from the host. Those called upon to comment will be asked to state their name and address first, and then you can provide the comment. In the interest of time and to ensure that you have enough time to do so, please raise your hand as soon as Mr. Stembridge reads the address into the record. Do not raise your hand before the relevant address is called, or the meeting host will not know to call on you at the appropriate time. These instructions will be repeated throughout the hearing. Take roll call minutes of the board. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you for your assistance. I appreciate it. Mr. Stembridge.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Present.
Good morning. Ms. Better Barraza.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Present.
Good morning. Mr. Collins.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Present.
Good morning. Mr. Aiken.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Present.
Good morning. So as I noted earlier, we are a 5-member board today. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Stembridge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We will begin with the extension scheduled for 9:30 a.m. I will read all of the extensions in one behind the other. At that point, if there are any questions, we can ask the chair about them, and we'll take a vote, one vote on all of them, and then go from there. To begin with, we have case BOA 134-4282 with the address of 65 Mount Hope. Next, we have case BOA 874-954 with the address of 303-305 Bennington Street. Then we have case BOA 134-7341 with the address of 23 Chestnut Street. Next, we have case BOA 105-0294 with the address of 382 Sumner Street. And finally, we have case BOA 121-1702 with the address of 95 to 97 Broadway.
Any questions from the board? Hearing none, is there a motion to grant the extensions as requested?
Make a motion to grant the extensions as requested.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge,
Yes.
Ms. Benabraza,
Yes.
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Aiken.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries.
Next, we have a groundwater conservation overlay district case scheduled for 9:30. This is case BOA 1670783 with the address of 18 Commonwealth Avenue. If the applicant and or their representative are present, will they please explain the case to the board?
Good morning, all. My name is Fraser Allen with an address of 200 Falcon Street in East Boston. I'm the applicant for this case, and I'm filling in for the project architect, David Freed. This project is under the GCOD overlay district. We filed our plans with Boston Water Sewer and received a no harm letter on September 26th from Sean McPhee at Boston Water Sewer saying there's no harm to the GCOD district.
Any questions from the board? May I have a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, oh, sorry.
not a problem.
Mr.
Good morning, everyone. Madam Chair, members of the board, Christian Simonelli, Boston Groundwater Trust, and we have both GCOD letters from the applicant.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
With that, may I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Go ahead. Go, David.
Okay, yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
Barazza, second.
Thank you, Mr. Stenbridge.
Yes.
Ms. Benabraza,
Yes.
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Aiken.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now begin with the hearing scheduled for 9:30 a.m. First, we have case BOA.
Are there
One
deferrals or requests for deferrals?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We will ask if, at this point, if there are any requests for withdrawals or deferral. And yes, a reminder that we are a 5-member board today.
Yes.
Yeah, 295 West First Street.
Bear with me, please.
It's on the top of the 4th page, Mr. Stenbridge, or second from the top.
It's an Article
that.
80.
For AD case.
I'm sorry, 295 Westbrook.
Yes.
So that would be case BOA 1669854 with the address of 295 West First Street. Would you go ahead and explain, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Secretary. For the record, Attorney Nick Zazula, McDermott, Quilty, Miller, and Hanley, 28 State Street in Boston, seeking an administrative deferral due to the 5-member board, but also a quick deferral. We're just working on some changes in response to some of the neighbors on the ground floor for the project. Thank you.
Next date, Caroline?
We could do February 4th.
That would be
Okay. Great. With that, may I have a motion?
Motion to defer this case until February 4th.
Second, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge,
Yes.
Ms. Benabraza,
Yes.
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Aiken.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion carries. See you then.
Thank you.
Mr. Secretary, 28 Aileen Street in West Roxbury.
That would be for case
Second to last
BOA
case.
on page 5, case BOA 1640872 with the address of 28 Aileen Street. You go ahead and explain, please.
Thank you, Mr. Stenbridge. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Attorney John Pulgini on behalf of the applicant for 28 Aileen Street in West Roxbury. We're requesting a deferral as we had received an updated refusal letter on September 26th. However, the notices that were sent out for today's hearing originally, the original refufusal letter from June, so that has to be renoticed.
Okay, Caroline?
We could do February 25th.
That's fine.
Okay, may I have a motion?
Motion to defer until February 25th, 2025.
May I have a second?
Baraza, second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Ms. Better Brazza?
Yes.
Mr. Collins? You're on mute.
Yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion carries. See you then.
Thank you.
Good
Madam Chair,
morning.
deferral for 303 Sumner Street.
So that would be for case BOA 1671922 with the address of 303 Sumner Street. Go ahead and explain, Attorney Small.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Attorney Derek Small. I have a business address at 51 Dobson Road, Braintree. We're seeking a administrative deferral this morning due to a 5-member board.
Caroline?
We could do February 4th or February 25th.
February 4th is fine.
Okay, may I have a motion?
Motion to defer until February 4th, 2025.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Ms. Better Brazza?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. See you then.
Thank you.
Yes, good morning, for 35 Sedan.
So that would be for case BOA 1671229 with the address of 35 Sedan Street. Would you go ahead and explain to the board, please?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Mary Kay Campbell with the law firm Drago and Piscano at 11 Beacon Street. We are requesting a deferral just due to the smaller board.
We could
Caroline?
do December 4th or December 25th.
December? Do you mean February?
I mean, sorry, February.
We don't want to delay her that much. Mary Kay?
We'll do the 4th, thank you.
Okay, with that, may I have a motion?
Motion to defer until February 4th.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Ms. Better Brazza?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. See you then.
There be any further requests for withdrawals of deferrals? From 9:30? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next two companion cases. That is case BOA 1648737 with the address of 26 Belmont Street. Along with that, we have case BOA 1648738 with the address of 28 Belmont Street. If the applicant and/or their representative are present, will they please explain the case to the board?
Sure. Hello. This is Tim Sheehan. I'm an architect in Charlestown at 9 Wall Street. Sorry my video's not working. I'm not sure why, but 26 and 28 Belmont Street there's an empty parcel there now, and 26 is the project on the left. It's going to be a two-family. The proposed construction would be a two-family with 4 parking spots. There's an existing curb cut there now. We would utilize the existing curb cut for a 4-car, two tandems for 4 parking spots. It would consist of 2 3-bedroom units. The lower unit would be 1,475 square feet. The upper one would be 1,528. The building next door that we're proposing to build is number 28 Belmont Street, and that would be a single family. And that would be, I've drawn it as 3 bedrooms, because it could be 4. And there is no curb cut there now. Our proposal was to do a single 10-foot curb cut, this way providing 2 parking spaces, and the way the cars line up on the street, we'd only be losing 1 space, and basically 1 space picking up 6 on the street. So that's the strategy there. Some of the violations are conformity with building alignment. We held back the single family just to break up the facade. It's a 50-foot long facade, and we put bays on and some a recessed entry just to break up that facade. Some of the other, there's an FAR violation. We're only over a little bit, like 200 square feet on one, 150 on the other or something, so we're really close to 2.0. Open space, we're over, but I'd say at this density level, you know, most of my projects are. We do have a fair amount of open space. Part of the design, just down the hill from this, number 34 and 36, we put an almost identical project through this board. And the only difference on this one is we flipped the two-family and the single to take advantage of that existing curb cut. But the strategy was, there's a 19th century retaining wall up on top of the hill, holding back the St. Francis graveyard, the Catholic burial ground. So, you know, the grade changes from the sidewalk up to that burial ground by about 25 feet. So that it causes the building to be a 4-story, but the garage level is basically just, on both projects, so it's just buried into the hillside. So the idea was just to have essentially a vault. I think technically this is probably a 3-story because I believe it's more than 60% buried, but it's shown as a 4-story structure. We do have the feet height violation where we'll end up at 39 feet above the sidewalk. And that's essentially the project. The project we did next door worked out really well. We had a fairly low-stress neighborhood meeting. People were concerned about, you know, the curb cuts as always, and we had 9 letters of support that have been submitted from Belmont Street itself from immediate abutters. And that's the project. It'll be a single family and basically what we call a Philly split. So for the number 26 would be 4 parking spots and some mechanicals. Next floor up would be unit 1. The floor after that would be split between unit 1 and unit 2. Then the top floor would be just unit 3. And, the rear setback violation. Yeah, we've held the house itself to 15 feet, but just the way it works out for our second egress and our deck with the way the retaining walls have to work, the terraces, I guess I'd call them, we do have a rear setback violation as well. With that, I'll hand it to you. That's the project we'll propose.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Hearing none.
I'm looking at I'm looking at the height. It's zoning is requiring for the height to not exceed 35 feet, but you have it at 38'9". Is there any way to meet the 35 feet? Because I don't know if you had a chance to read the BPD's recommendation, but they are recommending that you work with Plan Charlestown zoning and to keep the height at 35 feet. So, you know, that's a question for you. Is there a way that you can make it work?
I think we can get it a bit lower. Just the nature of that first floor. We just, you know, any other site, if this was flat, I would have made this a 3-story structure. We've got to, you know, just to get the back of the building up so you get any light at all. Yeah, I think we can come a little bit low if we tighten down our floor to floors. I don't think we can get to 35 feet on this one, having worked on the project next door, which is almost
Yeah,
identical.
and I'm looking at your project at 36. You say you did 36A?
34 and 36. If you look on sheet A3.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it right now, and
Yep.
and the 4th floor story does not cover the majority. It's just a portion of it, but in this project, you are covering a greater square footage on that 4th floor.
Yeah, the back wall ended up more complicated than it needed to be. I mean, the client wanted to go in a rectangle in this one.
Okay. I don't have any further questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, may I have public testimony?
Madam Chair and members of the board, good morning. Siggy Johnson with the Office of Neighborhood Services. This petitioner has completed the ONS community process. Our office hosted an abutters meeting on November 12th, which was lightly attended. Concerns were raised regarding rodent activity and the building proposed height. Our office has been provided with 8 form letters in support from abutters, which have been forwarded to the board. With that background, we defer to the judgment of the board. Thank you.
Any other raised hands, Jessica?
Jesse, no raised hands at the moment.
Brian Wood.
Hi, Brian. Okay, go ahead, Brian.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brian Woods. I'm a resident of 18 Belmont Street. And Tim, thank you for sharing the plans. I wasn't aware of the meeting back in November, but I do have concerns about the height. Consistently on Belmont Street, as it's a hill, most of the properties that are built, including the 34, 36 property that you built, Tim, they all kind of, the height just consistently goes down as you go down the hill. Concern about the new project, in favor of the project in general, but just concern is that, you know, the roof line is going to block anybody who might want to put a roof deck on the row houses between 10 and then 22 Belmont.
We'll get it down, we can get our floor to floors down a little bit, and I'm showing a parapet on the front. We can get that parapet down as well. I think I can probably get 18 inches off of it, just looking at it.
Okay. Great. Yeah, I just wanted to voice that, but otherwise, you know, in favor of the project in general.
Thank you. No, we will. I mean,
Thank you.
In the way that, I don't even notice, we can probably get the garages down a little bit tighter as well. We'll work at it. As, you know, assuming this gets approved as we get into contract documents. And I can share that with you, Brian. I remember you from the last one.
Thank you. Any other raised hands?
Second, we have no additional raised hands at the moment.
Any other questions from the board? May I have a motion?
I'm going to put forward a motion. First, before I mention my motion, I did look at the rear yard concern from BPD, and it basically aligns, the rear yard kind of aligns with a similar condition on 34 Belmont. So I think it's okay. In regards to the height, I would definitely recommend that the applicant works with BPD. So for this reason, I'm going to put forward a motion of approval with a proviso that the applicant works to lower the height of the building to work more in alignment with the zoning of 35 feet. And then given that there are projects along the street that are already 4 stories, I'm making this recommendation.
There a second?
Yes, I will. I second that. I think that's a very reasonable request, and it sounds as if the proponent is able to lower that building height. So yes, I will second.
Thank you.
Motion.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yeah.
Ms. Benabraza?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you, everybody.
Next, we have case BOA 1672284 with the address of 431 to 439 Hanover Street. If the applicant and or their representative are present, will they please explain the case to the board?
Thank you, Mr. Stenbridge. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Attorney Jeff Drago with Drago and Toscano with the business address of 11 Beacon Street. With me, I have Carlos Salib, who's the architect on the project here on behalf of the applicant for a project at 431-439 Hanover Street in the North End section of Boston. Just by way of background, and you're looking at the existing building now, we are here really just to clean up the existing zoning on site. So this particular building, since my client bought it back in the 70s, has always had 14 units, residential units, and 2 separate storefronts. Those storefronts currently have a retail office and a salon inside. The unit layouts have always been there. They're all separately metered for gas, electric, and water since my client had purchased the building. he went to simply pull a permit to do some work, and it was discovered that somewhere the occupancy was just incorrect. Somewhere back years ago, this was changed to an 11-unit building with a child or children's center on the ground level, which he's never had any of that. All of the units are occupied. They're a mix of ones and studios in the building. Layout is already existing. Building is fully sprinklered as well. So we wanted to come to clean up the zoning, obviously, and to change the occupancy. So the occupancy would be changed from 11 apartments and 11 apartments and a children's center and store to its actual layout, which is 14 residential units and 2 separate retail spaces on the ground level. This particular section of the north end has identical buildings up and down of similar height of 5 stories. It's an MFR LS district, so mixed use type occupancy is common in this area, as you can see from some of the site pictures. We were cited for open space just because of the additional units. That was already existing violation. Off-street parking, obviously the building will remain, so we're not creating any parking. And then retail use over 2,500 square feet is a conditional use in this particular section, and because of the 2 storefronts, that creates that violation as well. The BPDA recommended approval. We did also get the support of New Nick and non-opposition at NURA as well. I know we have a picture of the floor plate. The basement is common area, utilities, and then part of the commercial unit for unit 2, it's the lower level for storage. And then first floor are the 2 commercial upper levels, and then second, third, fourth, and fifth floor are all pretty typical. They're all residential units inside. And with that, I can pause and we can answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, may I have public testimony?
Madam Chair, one question. I just wanted to ask for clarification. It looks like on the plans you have your square footage of commercial is under 2,500. We were cited for conditional use of retail over. is it over 2,500 square feet?
I believe so. Carlos, I know who designed the plans, is on. I believe he's on as and can attest to the square footage. I believe.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I believe that is correct. I would have to confer with my drawings just to make sure. But the way the drawings are set up, the correct square footage is on the plans.
And I believe it's also because there's a lower level in the basement for one of the units as well.
Yes.
I understand now. Okay, thank you. I see.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I have public testimony?
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Eva Jones, representing the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. Regarding 431 Hanover Street, our office will defer to the board's judgment on this matter. A community process was conducted, including an abutters meeting held on September 11th, 2024, which was attended lightly by 2 constituents. There was no major feedback from the constituents regarding this proposal, but there was some concern about like the noise condensers on the top of the building for the air conditioning disturbing some of the close by neighbors. The proposal was reviewed by North End Waterfront Resident Association and North End Waterfront Neighborhood Council, as Attorney Drago did express at their monthly meetings. At this time, the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services defers to the board's judgment on this decision. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, we have no raised hands at the moment.
With that, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I put a motion of approval.
May I have a second? Mr. Stenbridge?
Yeah.
Ms. Better-Brazza?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. Look.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
The next two cases have been deferred, so that takes us to case BOA 1590919 with the address of 1220 Blue Hill Avenue. If the applicant and or their representative are present, would they please explain the case to the board?
Mr. Estevez, are you raising your hand for this case?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, please proceed.
Madam Chair and members of the board, thank you for the opportunity. I am Al Estevez, the architect on the project with Casa Architecture and Construction, address of 79 Devon Street, Dorchester. Joining me is Mayeli De Lopez. She's the Chief Operating Officer of Project 77, the owner of the property. Overall, this project is pretty straightforward, consists of renovating the basement of a 3-family building into an apartment. They're building a lot of these in the city of Boston through the amazing ADU program. This project meets all of the requirements of the ADU program. One thing to note is that the reason why we have to go through the CBA process and the community process is because the building is not owner occupied. If we could stay on this page for a second, the floor plan. On the left side is Blue Hill Avenue, that's the frontage. And as you can see, we're excavating an areaway to the entrance of the apartment. The apartment will be good size, about 1,100 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, in-unit laundry, open kitchen and living area. And we're also taking advantage of the grading. So the grading slopes down towards the back of the property. And that gives us the opportunity to create a walkout patio and take advantage of the natural light. As far as the parking, you can fit 4 parking spaces in the back of the property. Currently, none of the tenants have a car. None of the tenants that are in the building have a car, so the parking is not being used at the moment. The property is 0.31 miles from the Morton Street MBTA station, so it's well within the transit-oriented development threshold of 0.5 miles, and which typically allows for increased density as well as reduced parking. Now, we presented this project at the abutters meeting in June of last year, and then subsequently to the councilor's office in October of last year, receiving full support on both of those. Subsequently to that, we presented the project to the GMC on October 17th, who opposed the project. Following that meeting, we met again with the councilor's office on November 6th to discuss the concerns raised by the GMC and to demonstrate that we're committed to addressing any concerns. Ultimately, we feel strongly that this project aligns with the City of Boston goals to bring more high-quality housing. And we've successfully received approval for 3 of these in the past, very similar 3-family projects, renovating the basement into an apartment. And 2 of them are currently under construction. Now, this is the first one that we're doing in Mattapan. However, there was a nearly identical project that, if anything, had more site. It was a tighter site that was approved in May of last year. It's just a couple of blocks away, also on Blue Hill Avenue. And the one thing I do want to stress is that while this project is not owner-occupied, it is being developed by a small minority and women-led team. And Mayeli can certainly elaborate more on the values of the company as well as some of the operations. Personally, as someone who has worked in real estate for over 12 years and have been able to call Boston home for over 20 years, and someone who has gotten to know the Project 77 team closely and work with them closely, I stand by this project. I'm happy to take any questions.
Can you confirm the floor-to-ceiling height in the basement?
Sure. If we go to, scroll down like a couple of pages, we can see that. I think maybe it's the next one or the one after that. It's this one doesn't have bad ceiling heights. Yeah, right here. Okay, so ceiling height is 10'7", and the lowest at the bottom of the central beam is 9'8.5". So pretty good ceiling heights here.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Okay, hearing none. May I have public testimony?
Madam Chair and members of the board, for the record, my name is Jeremy Bembury. I am the Mattapan Community Engagement Specialist for the Office of Neighborhood Services. The applicant has completed the community process, which consisted of an abutters meeting held on June 6th with few residents in attendance. No inquiries were made, no support or opposition was voiced at the time. The project then met with JMNC, the Greater Mattapan Neighborhood Council, where they voted to oppose the project, stating the property is not owner occupied and should be required to adhere to their current ADU regulations. They also stated the property has had several ISD violations. They did mention density, parking, and pedestrian safety regarding the entrance, sidewalk, and driveway locations, believing the driveway was inaccessible due to the inability for cars to turn into the driveway without hitting the building. The Civic did go on to state if the proponent decides to add a unit to the top floor, then GMNC, the Greater Mattapan Neighborhood Council, would support the project. Thank you for your time, and the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services would like to defer to the board for the judgment at this time.
Madam Chair, we have no raised hands.
Good morning. I'm sorry. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Abdullah Beckett from Councilor Brian Worrell's office. At this time, due to feedback from the Greater Mattapan Neighborhood Council, the councilor will go on record in opposition. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have no raised hands at the moment.
Okay.
Did Laura Toliano speak on behalf of Councilor Flynn?
I think she's just asking to be a panelist, not.
Oh, okay, sorry about that.
That's okay. Are there any other questions for the applicant?
I do have a question for BPD. Has there been past projects that have come before us for similar kind of an ADU conversion where it's not owner occupied? And what was the results of that?
Thank you, Ms. Betta-Barraza. Good morning, everybody. Jeff Hampton, Boston Planning Department. To my knowledge, nothing that has been labeled as an ADU. It's been simply a change of occupancy from a 3 to a 4. I know there is a huge push by the city and this department in particular to get these ADUs before the zoning commission and into zoning as quickly as possible. So I think there might be a little bit of confusion between using the terms ADU versus a change of occupancy.
Right, and that was going to be my follow-up question.
ADUs are very specific, right?
Right, so that's going to be my follow-up question. Since it is a change of occupancy from 3 to 4, there really is no requirement whether it's owner occupied or not.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for that clarification.
Any other questions from the board? May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to put forward a motion of approval with a proviso that the project undergoes BPD design review.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yeah.
Ms. Betta-Barraza?
Madam Chair, if I could interrupt for a second, Ms. Betta-Barraza.
You don't want the design review, do you?
And the reason why, because I think it's important to note that in our recommendation, we didn't see this the floor to ceiling heights and building code issues, but I think as the appellant had demonstrated that, he had more than enough in terms of height.
Yeah.
And since it's mostly internal, I don't know if we really need to do that.
Okay, I just flagged that because your plan reviewer noted a lot of details and I figured that they probably wanted to review it, so I can remove that.
I'll leave it up to you. Just
Okay.
throwing it out there.
Sounds good. I'll leave it to ISD to flag any code, so I would like to change my motion to approval.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Ms. Betta-Barraza?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you, everyone.
Next, we have case BOA 1615460 with the address of 133 Devon Street. If the applicant and/or their representative are present, would they please explain the case to the board?
Yes, thank you. This is our project as well. I'm the architect on this project as well. CAS Architecture and Construction, address of 79 Devon Street. Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity. First, I'd like to start off by saying that I live on Devon Street. I've lived on Devon Street about a year and a half now. So basically, just a block away from this project. We had the opportunity to present this project at the abutters meeting on July 9th of last year, and to the Residents Association on September 5th and October 3rd. I mentioned it to the council's office. We received support from these parties. And after, just as an example, after hearing the feedback from the Residents Association, we made a couple of changes. For example, we decided to get rid of a roof deck that we were proposing. And just as an example of us working with the community, which is what we want. So the subject property is on a vacant parcel other than a 3-car garage. The project consists of a new 4-story, 7-unit building, includes 4 one-bedroom apartments and 3 two-bedroom apartments. The amenities will include a fitness area in the lower level, bike parking, and also energy efficient design, including solar panels. Now we strongly believe that this project supports the mayor's initiatives to create more housing, to help with the affordability challenges. And we also feel like this project fits within the context and the changing urban fabric. Again, Project 77 is a relatively small landlord whose project team is led by a minority and woman-owned team. Now, if I could talk about the scale for a second, if you could go to the first page, actually. Yeah, right there. So bottom right picture, to look at the scale, what's interesting about this site is that the grading slopes up towards the back of the property. Essentially, all the basements from all these properties along this street here are aligned with the sidewalk. Therefore, while we're proposing a 4-story building, the top of the building in the front essentially aligns with the top of the ridges of both adjacent properties. And then as far as the design, we took hints from the 2 adjacent properties. They have a pretty consistent language with the bay windows, protruding decks, and also breaking the scale up on the 3rd floor with the sort of like the overhang. And we took hints from that and applied it to this project to make it fit a little bit better within the context. Now, if we could go to page 4, please. I want to zoom out a little bit and talk about the site. The project is approximately 0.17 miles from the Four Corners MBTA station, again, well within the transit-oriented development maximum of 0.5 miles that allows a little bit higher density and reduced parking. The project also has an excellent walk score of 80. And if we could go to page 4, it might be the next page, or, yep, next one. On the top left, there's almost like a site diagram. I don't know if you can see the site there is outlined by a red dashed line on the top left. On the same street, thank you. So on the same street, as you can see on the left side, there's some higher density multifamily developments, a 0 lot line. If we scroll down a little bit, you can see what that looks like at the bottom. So this is actually on the same block in the same street, just down the street from the project. Also on the other side of the property, just essentially a house away from Columbia Road, there's some commercial properties, and one of the parcels is actually zoned for multifamily that could potentially be developed for higher density development. And this is why we feel that the project does fit within the context of the site. Looking at the parking, if we go to page 5, where all the floor plans are. So essentially, we're proposing five parking spaces in the back of the property that are tucked under the rear of the building. Now, one thing we do have to confirm is if we're proposing 5 parking spaces, but if we're not able to get a accessible parking waiver due to technical infeasibility, then we may need to reduce that to 4 to provide an accessible parking space. Now, one thing to note is that because of the grading, the design consists of a split level design. So you come in, again, the first level is aligned with the sidewalk. You come in, that's where your accessible unit is. So package area, you go up half a story, and then you're at the rear parking. You go up half a story again. You're on the 2nd floor in the front of the building. You go up another half a story, and then you are at the 2nd floor at the rear of the building. So this is a split level design where you have half a story's difference between the front of the building and the back of the building. And if we could, I have page 7 here with all of the different perspectives, but I think it would be nice to see what the building will look like. It should be like the last page of this package. Oh, excellent. So this is what the project would essentially look like. Happy to take any questions.
Questions from the board?
What's your front yard violation again? I'm trying to pull it up.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like, I don't see like a zoning analysis.
Yeah, if we go to the site plan, actually I do have a page, the site plan actually has.
Oh yeah, I see it. Okay, I just found it. So your front yard, your front yard, so you're required 20 feet and you're proposing 8 foot 16. I mean, the reason I call that out is because it looks very large and I can see why perspectively it's very close to the front, to the pedestrian side yard. Okay, I don't have any further questions.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board?
Madam Chair, I'd just like to get an understanding of the accessibility routes as the Disabilities Commission requested. Is there a common, what are the common spaces? Is there a common fitness room, other common spaces, and are those all accessible from that first unit?
Sure, so that's a good question. So one of the comments I remember was the roof deck, that if we wanted to have that shared roof deck, we would also essentially need to provide an elevator. And so we got rid of that roof deck for a number of reasons, that being one of them. As far as the fitness room, that's something that we were hoping to have in the lower level. However, one of the comments from the building, the ISD, was that we needed to extend the stairway down. And so we're looking at options to relocate that fitness area so it is accessible by that first floor accessible unit tenant.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? May I have public testimony?
Madam Chair and members of the board, for the record, my name is Jeremy Bembury. I'm the Roxbury Community Engagement Specialist for the Office of Neighborhood Services. The applicant has completed the community process, which consisted of an abutters meeting held on July 9th, where abutters voiced no concerns. The project then met with Devon Normandy Brunswick Association, where residents stressed the need for an off-street parking plan and the removal of the fourth deck. With that, the project received their vote of support still. Thank you for your time, and the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services would like to defer to the board for their judgment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. This is Abdullah Becker from Councilor Brian Worrell's office. With having support from community, the councilor would like to go on record in support for the project. Thank you.
Ms. Lopez, are you looking to give testimony here? Your hand is raised. Al Estevez, are you looking to give testimony?
He is the applicant.
He's the applicant. Okay, you have no additional raised hands at the moment.
Okay, with that, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to put forward a motion of approval with a couple of provisos. One, that the project undergoes BPD design review to make adjustments on the front and rear roof line so it is a little bit more contextual. The second is to redesign the parking spaces to allow for more open space to the residents. Third, to do site planning design review to provide landscape areas again to promote and create buffers along the parking area. And then lastly, to review the front yard setback.
Okay, with that, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yeah.
Ms. Benabraza?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion carries.
Thank you, everyone.
Next, we have case BOA 1662922 with the address of 993 Hyde Park Avenue. If the applicant and/or the representative are present, would they please explain the case to the board?
Everyone, are you the applicant here? You can leave yourself.
Hi. members of the board. My name is Juan Rojas, and I'm helping Mariani Baez with the process of applying for a change of usage from a non-compliant space to no-conditional space to a non-conditional space. Met with ISD, and the only thing that they requested was the ventilation system to be provided by an architect and the checklist from them. We met with the city on with the neighbors on February 21st. There was no opposition from anybody from the neighborhood, and so that is all that we have actually to present. That was the only question that they had about the ventilation, and we certified from it was from a non-conforming to non-conforming as well. Barbershop and nail salon to be in place.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, may I have public testimony?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. Due to personnel changes, we don't have a lot of background information on this. Previously, a previous ONS liaison hosted a butters meeting. We have in our records from October 31st of 2023. I know they were before the board and previously denied when they did not attend that hearing. Our office is presently unaware of any concerns. There's a number of other businesses on the stretch as well. With that, we'll defer to the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. That's one. Okay, we have no additional raised hands at the moment.
That may I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
There a second?
Barraza, second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Mr. Barraza?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you, board members.
Next, we have case BOA 1590921 with the address of 1458 Blue Hill Avenue. The applicant and nor their representative present. Will they please explain the case to the board?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Al Esteves here, architect for the project with Casa Architectural Construction, address of 79 Devon Street in Dorchester. With me here today is Mayeli De Lopez, the Chief Operating Officer of Project 77 LLC, again, the owner of the project. This project, it's very similar to the one we discussed earlier for 1220. It's essentially the same project, consists of renovating the basement into an apartment of an existing three-family project. And again, they're building a lot of these through the city's sponsored ADU program, which is not what we're following. However, we are meeting all the requirements of the ADU programs in terms of number of egresses, etc. Now, the apartment will be good size, around 1,000 square feet. If we could go to page 5, please. Will be 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, in-unit laundry, open kitchen and living area. We're also taking advantage of, so in here in this floor plan, the frontage is on the left side, that's Blue Hill Avenue, and you can see the new entrance, the new areaway to provide direct access into the apartment. We're also similar to 1220, we are taking advantage of the site grading. It slopes down towards the back, creating a large walk-up patio with double doors and just taking advantage of natural light. Currently, this property does not have a wide enough side yards to provide a driveway, so there's no access, vehicle access to the rear of the property. That will remain unchanged. This project is 0.1 miles from the Blue Hills MBTA station, and so well within the transit-oriented development threshold of 0.5. We presented this project at the abutters meeting on July 15th of last year, and subsequently to the council's office on October 1st, receiving support from both of those at that time. We then presented the project to the GMNC on October 17th of last year, who opposed the project. Following that, we met with the council's office on November 6th of last year to discuss the concerns raised by the GMNC, as well as demonstrate our commitment to addressing the concerns. Ultimately, we feel strongly that this project aligns with the city's goals to increase high-quality housing in the city. And we've successfully got approved for 3 of these already. Basement apartment conversions, essentially converting from a 3-family to a 4-unit occupancy. And 2 of them are currently under construction. We haven't done one in Mattapan yet, but there was a similar one that I mentioned earlier, 1424, same deal, that an existing 3-family, very similar to this one, existing 3-family building, renovating the apartment into, the basement into an apartment. Again, I want to stress that this project is being developed by a small minority and women-owned team. And I, as an architect and someone who's lived in Boston for 20 years and worked in real estate for over 12 years and knows the project team, I stand by this project. Thank you, everyone, and happy to take any questions.
Questions from the board? Hearing none, may I have public testimony?
Madam Chair and members of the board, for the record, my name is Jeremy Bembury. I serve as the Mattapan Community Engagement Specialist for the Office of Neighborhood Services. The applicant has completed the community process, which consisted of an abutters meeting held on July 15th with no abutters in attendance. The project then met with GMNC, the Greater Mattapan Neighborhood Council, where they voted to oppose the project, stating the property is not owner occupied and therefore should abide by their ADU regulations specific to Greater Mattapan. GMNC also voiced serious concerns about pedestrian safety, again, based on the proximity of the proposed unit entrance to the sidewalk and the property's driveway, stating it does not own or have an easement to the land next door. We have received no letters of opposition or support at this time. Thank you for your time, and the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services would like to defer to the board for their judgment. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Madam Chair, I see no raised hands at the moment.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve with planning department review and no building code relief.
Is there a second?
I think, David, hearing Jeff from BPD, he mentioned that we don't really need to ask for BPD design review.
Yeah, they started addressing some of it. You know, our concerns were that we didn't see any of the building code issues in the plans. However, the appellant has shown here that they are going to address some of the concerns that we had. So we really don't need design review. We'll let ISD just handle the building code issues.
Okay, so just no building code relief.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, with that, is there a second?
I second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yeah.
Ms. Benabraza?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. Good luck.
Thanks, everyone.
Next, we have case BOA 1651349 with the address of 109 Beach Street. If the applicant and or their representative are present, will they please explain to the board?
Hello, I'm Erin Wise. I'm the owner of 109 Beach Street, and I am proposing replacing my front porch. My architect, Charles Kraus, is also on the call.
She's in Mass? She's in Roslindale. Oh, that's nice.
So our existing porch is rotted and falling apart, so we need to do something to repair it. And we'd like to improve our house in keeping with the neighborhood. We're planning on the enclosed porch that we have right now, making that a mudroom. But we feel that the open porch is more appealing in keeping with making the neighborhood curb appeal nicer. So we want to add a covered porch outside. We are within the setbacks. Our existing house is within the setbacks on the left and right. And we're proposing going out, I think, an additional 5 feet into the front yard. And from what I understand, if there are 2 other houses on our side of the street, on our block, that are also within the front yard setback, then it isn't a violation.
Are there questions from the board?
No, Madam Chair, it's pretty straightforward.
Hearing none, may I have public testimony?
Madam Chair and members of the board, for the record, my name is Jeremy Bembury. I am the Rosendale Community Engagement Specialist for the Office of Neighborhood Services. The applicant has completed the community process, which consisted of an abutters meeting held on November 12th with very few abutters in attendance. 2 abutters did voice support. The project was not required to go before any civic group as it fell outside of any civic group's area, with no letters of opposition or support received at this time. Thank you for your time, and the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services would like to defer to the board for their judgment. Thank you.
Raise hands.
We have no additional raised hands at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to put forward a motion of approval.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yeah.
Ms. Better Brazza?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
The next case has been deferred, so that takes us to case BOA 1673059 with the address of 279 North Harvard Street, which is also an Article 80 case. And if there are the representative, the applicant and or their representative are present, will they please explain to the board?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Good morning, Mr. Secretary, Madam Chair.
I figured. Can I leave the call now?
Yes, yes.
I'll put them on mute, sorry.
All right. All set? All right. Good morning again, Mr. Secretary, Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Joe Hanley, McDermott, Colty, Miller, and Hanley, 28 State Street in Boston, here representing the Alston Brighton CDC as the proponent for this new senior housing development in Alston. With me is John Woods, who is the Executive Director of the Alston Brighton CDC, as well as Lucas Herringshaw, who is with Rhodey Architects, and will take you through the presentation after I go through a brief overview here. So the site and the proposal, the Alston Brighton CDC has been serving the Alston Brighton neighborhood for 45 years now. Thousands of individuals, almost 600 units that they serve for affordable housing, for elderly and workforce individuals. And this site is an opportunity for us to, or for the Alston Brighton CDC to address the need for senior housing, which is obviously a major need, not just in this neighborhood, but throughout the city. Next slide, please. So some of the project goals here, and you'll see on the left, the project site itself along North Harvard Street across from the BPL branch of the Honan Library. And again, what we're seeking to do is to provide new housing for local seniors and allow them to age in place in the neighborhood. And also, we're really excited that this is a restoration project. The site includes the Hill Memorial Baptist Church, and so that structure is remaining and going to be restored and paired with a development to serve not just seniors, but also some community programming within the church building itself, which it has served for a number of years, but lacks accessibility and other things, and we will have those upgrades as well. We've worked really hard through the BPDA process and the outreach process to mitigate impacts on existing neighborhood traffic, and I think what you'll see in the presentation is we're really proud that we're delivering a superior product for our seniors with contributing architectural design and vast open space, but also targeting passive house certification for sustainable development. Next slide, please. So just some existing conditions. View from the north on the upper left. This site is bounded on 3 sides by public streets. As you'll see in the upper left, looking to the north, you're looking at the intersection of Coolidge and North Harvard, and the bottom slide shows you the intersection of Coolidge and Easton Street. And then to the right, in the reddish hash, we'll see the site. And in support of the zoning, you have an existing non-conforming site that is obviously oversized quite a bit in its zone of the 2F 5,000 subdistrict. The site is a little over 26,000 square feet of land in that 2F 5,000 subdistrict. Next slide, please. Just take you through the project summary. So 49, you will see in the photo here, in the aerial. Again, the fact that we are bordered on 3 public streets. Again, Easton Street to the right on your photo, Coolidge Street to the left, and the existing Hill Memorial Baptist Church to remain and be restored towards the intersection of Easton and North Harvard Street. You're proposing to create 49 units of all income restricted senior housing within this new development and as part of the combined restoration project. The height is 4 stories. The proposed zoning height is 45.5 feet, and the total gross square footage of just under 48,000 gross square feet. And the existing church is a little under 6,000 square feet and is being renovated and repurposed with amenity space, community space, and the addition, which we're really proud of usable outdoor public open space, which you'll see both along the edges but also within the courtyard center of the site, for a resulting FAR of 1.79. Next slide, please. Just take you quickly through the zoning. We need relief in 7 areas. As I indicated before, the underlying zoning is a 2F 5,000. Obviously, that is not its existing conditions. It's a lot of 26,710 square feet. We think that with both retaining the existing church structure and making way for much needed affordable senior housing with ample open space that is supportive of the relief with respect to this unique property site. And we've worked through those constraints in a way to provide a contributing development. So first relief, is for the MFR housing, again in a 2F. It's not a 2F use, but we are seeking that relief in order to provide for senior affordable housing. Also, the front yard, we have actually 3 front yards because we're on 3 streets. 7 is required on Easton, 10 on Coolidge, and we have 8, a little over 8 on North Harvard, and 5.6. And then a 0 on Coolidge, or a little over 0 on Coolidge, which is where the available land is in order to allow for the creation of the affordable housing, which is then offset with an open space of almost 200 square feet per unit. So we obviously don't need relief for that, but we're very proud that that is driving it. Also, with respect to the rear yard, we're 8.2 feet off from the rear yard, which is 20. This site also narrows as you go back, which supports that relief. The building height, 3 stories is allowed. We're seeking 4. 35 is the height and limitation. We are proposing 43. I will note that the steeple for the church is taller than that, so existing conditions are supportive of that. As well as the off-street loading. We do have an accommodation. It's just not compliant dimensionally and programmatically. But because we are creating 15 parking spaces and we have a drive lane, we're able to meet the spirit of that requirement. And as this board knows, with respect to the parking, we are required No parking is required under the new text amendment 154 for all affordable, but we thought it was important in working with the neighbors in the city and the community that there be some accommodation here, especially for the demographics that are being targeted. Next slide shows you the zoning refusal letter, which I think I went through, and I'll be available to answer questions as it relates to zoning. And the next slide, I am going to hand it off to Lucas and the team from Rhodey to take you through the presentation. Thank you, Madam Chair. Lucas?
Thank you, Joe. Lucas Harrington with Rhodey Architects. This slide shows the site plan and building sections. As Joe mentioned, there's ample open space throughout the project, both in the public realm, where we're removing the fence along North Harvard, Easton, and Coolidge Street, opening up what was once fenced area to public, in a large public plaza. And there's also a more private open space, the courtyard, towards the center of the complex to give breathing room to the existing church building and provide outdoor space for the residents. Next slide, please. Elevations of the project, variation in material. As Joe mentioned, we are below the height of the existing church steeple, and we have setbacks on all sides, presenting the building as more of a 3-story read from the street, more in line with the neighboring buildings. Next slide, please. And we have a series of elevations, looking north towards the church. We can see that the pitched roof forms are relating to the bell tower, and that the building is oriented in such a way as to step back from the face of the church, both in the front and on the side areas. Some separation from the church. We've gone through an extensive process with city agencies and preservation consultants. Saving the church was important to the neighborhood and to the community, and restoring it to its community space function, I think, is very important to the project. Next slide, please. Again, stepping back, breaking down the massing to relate to the neighboring buildings, and stepping back at the 4th floor to provide visual relief. Next slide, please. And on Easton Street, scaling the building so it's more in line with the neighboring buildings, and pointed back away from the street so it's actually behind the neighboring residential building, in line with the existing church, to allow prominence for the church to be maintained and the neighborhood cadence to be preserved. Next slide, please. And just a view from the front, showing the space that is provided between the church and the new proposed building. And along with the public plaza, that would be open to the public with benches and a covered space to protect people waiting for the bus from rain. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Lucas. And just in conclusion, we, as Mr. Stemper indicated, this was a Article 80 small project review, which was issued and approved, recommended for approval by the BPDA back in November. And I would, on behalf of the Alston Brighton CDC and the McNamara House, who they are partnering with, just want to thank both community groups that were supportive and helpful, the BAIA and the ACA, as well as our district city councilor, Liz Braden, who was instrumental in helping to direct us through the feedback and outreach process. And we're really excited to bring this restoration and much needed affordable senior housing project to our most vulnerable residents in Alston Brighton. Thank you.
Any questions from the board? Hearing none, can I have public testimony?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office has deferred to the judgment of this board. As you heard from the applicant's representation, this went through a BPA-led community process, but as the former Alston Brighton liaison, I can speak to the fact that the Alston Brighton CDC has been looking at this site for a long time and is engaged with the community conversation for many years before you see the project here today in front of you. They connected with the Brighton Alston Improvement Association, which was very supportive of the proposal. They met with the Alston Civic Association. They also secured a letter of support from the Brighton Alston Historical Society that was very pleased about the focus on adding homes for seniors, while at the same time retaining the aspects of the church as well, and the architecture there. They had a community meeting with the public in late September, with many in the community expressing excitement for the project, and many members expressed hope that a lot of Alston Brighton seniors be able to stay in the neighborhood with these new units coming online. We're unaware of any major concerns. With that, we'll defer to the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to take a look at the raised hands. Minor, are you looking to give testimony?
Yes, I am. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Minor Perez representing the Carpenters Union. On behalf of our members that live in the city of Boston, I want to go into record in support of this project.
And then was someone from Planning and Zoning looking to give testimony? So they put their hands down. If not, I'll go to Teresa.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
A couple of things, a number of actually.
Can you just state your name and address?
My name is Eddie Wyand. I own the property at 29-31 Coolidge Road. I'd like to discuss a few things. First of all, it's Coolidge Road, not Coolidge Street. I don't know. Be interesting that you didn't get that right. We're worried about parking. You said you're going to put in how many spaces? 16?
Can you just walk through your comments briefly? It's not a back and forth at this point. He can respond at the end.
Okay. The Coolidge Road is a one-way street, which, from my understanding, what would have to happen, you'd have to go down Easton Street or Arden Street to get to Coolidge Road. So you'd be going by, because my house is right at the end of Arden, you'd be going by my property, and we think that there will be a significant congestion issue. There would be difficulty if you only have 16 parking spaces. We have residential parking on Coolidge Road. There would seem to be an overload of cars, and there wouldn't be much room for residents of that area to park. The lighting from the building, I'd like to know what that's going to be. Is it spotlights? Are there, are there emergency capabilities? What kind of lights will they be? The parking lot, we'd like to know where the entrances and exits are, which streets. We know it's Easton and we know it's Coolidge Road. The height of the building was stated to be 45 and a half feet, and then you stated that it was going to be 43 feet, so I don't understand that. The area is a 2 to 3 family home area, and we're concerned that it'll diminish the character of the neighborhood. It won't look residential anymore. This is a 4th generation house that I live in. We've been living in, I've owned this house for close to 40 years. My grandfather lived in it, my great-grandfather lived in it. We're worried about the rats. There's a huge rat problem on Coolidge Road. Doing this kind of work, I think will create.
Sir, can you wrap up your points? So far I've heard parking, lighting, garage entries, rats, height. Is there anything else?
No, pretty much that's it, but these are significant.
Okay.
We're abutters. I don't know if there's going to be anybody here. We didn't know about the meeting. We never got information about it. We finally got this thing from the Board of Services, Board of Appeals, but
Zoe, you looking to give testimony here?
Yes, hi all. My name is Zoe Schutte. I'm a project assistant in the Development Review Division of the Planning Department, here to express Planning Department support of the project. This project was approved by the BPDA board on November 14th, 2024. It filed its SPRA on August 15th, 2024, and had a planning department hosted public meeting on September 23rd, and did extensive additional independent community outreach as well. We're happy to see this project move forward and progress in the design review phase of Article 80 as well, and defer to this board for further action. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, we have 5 additional raised hands. I'll go to Thomas and then Tim. If you could provide us with new information, please tell us if you're in support or opposition.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Thomas Leonard, Executive Board Member of the Alston Civic Association. I'm stepping in today in place of our President, Tony Disidoro. This project was presented and reviewed during the Alston Civic Association meeting on October 16, 2024. The project received significant support from ACA members, many of whom cited the need for additional income-restricted senior housing in the Alston-Brighton neighborhood. The developer also worked closely with direct abutters throughout the community review process, specifically the direct abutter directly behind the project, the Leahy family, and have received support from the direct abutters for this project. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Mikhail?
Hello, this is Jane McHale.
Go ahead and give us your address and briefly tell us if you're in support or opposition.
I am in support of this project. I am on the board of the McNamara House, which is advising the CDC about design and usage, because we run 80 units of elderly affordable housing in Alston down the street. And we've held a number of community meetings, and we've had very, very little opposition, and we wholeheartedly support this, because there really isn't any, especially the senior community use. We don't have any senior center here in Alston, and the Jackson Man, which provided some senior services, is very limited in services because of safety issues in the building. Thank you.
Thank you. Maura?
Good morning. This is Maura McCrave from City Councilor Liz Braden's office. The council would like to go on record with strong support for this project. It'll bring vital affordable units to the Lower Alston neighborhood. Thank you.
Thanks. Karen?
Hi, this is Karen Smith. I'm a lifelong resident of Alston, and I also am currently the president of the McNamara House Board of Directors. And what I'd really like to speak to is reinforcing the need for affordable housing. It's widely known that waiting lists for affordable senior housing is often years that speaks to the demand, and that's true at McNamara House as well. So we look forward to trying to alleviate the tremendous need that we see. In addition, we are realizing that as the age of seniors is increasing in terms of the average age in senior housing, we really need to look to the infrastructure, and the ability for McNamara House to partner with the CDC on good, strong programming would be a tremendous opportunity, and a shame to waste it. We think the location across from the library will allow us to work even more closely with city agencies. So we are in strong support and look forward to making this a stellar housing opportunity that's affordable for seniors.
Thanks. Okay,
Thank
you. We want to keep going. Madam Chair, there's 2 raised hands here.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, Bernadette and then Holden.
My name is Bernadette Leahy. I am a lifelong resident of Alston Brighton. We are the immediate direct abutters to this project at 2325 Coolidge Road. And we are in full support of this elderly project that they want to bring to this community and neighborhood. The project will add to an already vibrant community. The residents at this living area and our local neighbors can build meaningful relationships and enjoy social engagement. The plans that have been presented to us throughout this entire process has been unrailed. We've met plenty of times. There's been plenty of notices provided to everybody. And the project is going to be very comfortable, safe, and convenient living space for our seniors. Residents will enjoy the convenience of having access to a great neighbors, shopping, dining, and all additional services that they may need. We are in full support of this project. My family has owned this property at 2325 Coolidge Road, and also the land was directing abutting to the project for 50 plus years. We have very close neighbors that are in full support of this. Thank you very much.
Holden.
Hi, thank you. This is Holden Lewis. I'm across the street at 276 North Harvard, largely in support of the project, but just wanted to point out that at the last meeting, the design that was shown to us had a stepped back top floor on the building facing North Harvard Street, and they maintained that on all other sides, but with just a really flat, big, imposing building, I thought it was really helpful to have that fourth story stepped back. It made it a little bit less imposing on what is now a fairly residential street, though a busy one. I'd echo Eddie's concerns around access to the building. Essentially, Easton Street and Coolidge Road will become de facto streets, like driveways for the building, which will probably wind up removing some parking for the neighborhood. And I do have some concern about emergency vehicle access and how that's going to be handled. That hasn't really been addressed in any of the public meetings, but not sure if it's too late to think about those things now at this point. That's all.
Thank you.
No additional raised hands.
Would the applicant like to address some of the concerns that were raised?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, and appreciate all the input and point taken, Coolidge Road, not Coolidge Street. Got a lot of projects going on, but we definitely appreciate not just the direct abutter support and from the Leahys and others, but with respect to the gentleman's concerns, I think it is important to talk about the drive lane. This is something that we spent a lot of time with BTD, with the city, with the BPDA, and the neighbors to get right. So if you look at the site plan renderings and of that, it is in on Easton and out on Coolidge Road. The gentleman is correct. It is Coolidge Road is a one-way. And so it's precisely designed that way so that vehicles aren't going into the residential rear of that context of the area. And so with regard to parking, yeah, you'll see it there. So again, in on Easton, out on Coolidge. And with respect to parking, we have 15 spaces. Through the BPDA process, we were encouraged to do far less. So there needed to be a balance that was struck. Obviously, we have an affordable housing crisis, not a vehicle crisis in the city. But we do think that it could benefit from an appropriate allotment of minimal parking for services, for visitors, and for those seniors that, still have a vehicle and want to drive. Having said that, we've also integrated a number of transit-friendly aspects, shuttle and bus, in the like, van service that can get access, things that are really more germane to the end use here. With respect to the height, this is a public document that we submitted. If I did misspeak, the height is proposed at 45.6, and I believe the existing steeple is around 53, but again, that's all in the pending documents. And obviously the height varies and the massing has been broken up. Mr. Holden had mentioned some of the front elevations along North Harvard. This project continues to go through BPDA design review, and we appreciate his comments and look forward to working on that. There was also a mention on road control. We will have that as part of our construction management plan, and we look forward to working with all abutters and all neighbors should the project proceed forward. Final thing I'd like to say is it's not accurate to suggest that there wasn't notice and there wasn't a lot of process on this. Myself, the Alston Brighton CDC, we take great pride in the amount of extensive work we did in excess of what is required from Article 80. I think you heard that from Bernadette and the Leahys, who are our direct abutters, in addition to the Article 80 process, which requires a public meeting. We actually did 2 of our own abutter meetings that we organized and invited folks over to the Hone and Branch Library We personally dropped flyers in everyone's neighborhood, and we communicated that through the district city councilor, ONS, and both community groups to make sure that we captured everyone. So the process continues, and again, I want to thank all of the abutters for their input, and I hope that that was helpful in response. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Other questions from the board? Hearing none, is there a motion?
I like to say that this project is very commendable. It was really nice to see that the applicant received a lot of support from city councilors and state representatives, so I commend you for that effort. I also think that you are creating a huge community asset and impact and providing 49 affordable age-restricted homes that's very much needed in Austin and also in the Boston area. So there's a lot of really wonderful things about this project and its impact, and for these reasons, I would like to make a recommendation of approval with a proviso that you follow the recommendations from the BPD memorandum.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stepbridge?
Yes.
Ms. Pedraza?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board.
Getting into the hearing scheduled for 11 a.m. Two things. Folks should remember that we are a 5-member board today. And also we will ask if there are any withdrawals, requests for withdrawals or deferrals from the 11 o'clock hearing.
Andre, I know you're on. For the 11s. Go ahead, Andre.
Guys hear me? Sorry, I was on mute. I will request for a deferral as our plans were recently submitted and haven't yet been reviewed.
What project? I'm sorry, what address?
Oh, sorry about that. This is 91 Howard Avenue.
Okay, last case of the, okay, so that's 11:30s. We're asking about 11s right now.
Oh,
Sorry about that. Thought that was 11.
That's
Madam
okay.
Chair, members of the board. By 11 or 11:30.
We're on 11s right now?
I'm sorry, I'm 11:32. Sorry, Madam Chair.
Okay, so sounds like you can proceed with the 11s?
Sounds good.
Thank you.
With that, the first case is case BOA 1665889 with the address of 100 to 120 Ipswich Street. This is also an Article 80 case. And if the applicant and or their representative are present, would they please explain to the board?
Someone from Charles Gate?
Good morning. This is Brett Benson from UTIL. I think we're having a couple of our panelists join as well.
Are you the one presenting or someone else?
I'll be presenting along with Sullivan and Worcester.
Okay, so do you want to start?
Morning, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Good morning, Madam Chair. This is Gregory Sampson with Sullivan and Worcester. I'm here on behalf of the petitioner, Scape Charles Gate LLC. And with me, as mentioned, is Brett Benson of UTIL. We are seeking relief for the proposed project at 100 to 120 Ipswich Street, which is also known as 2 Charles Gate West. It's in the Fenway neighborhood of Boston. The project involves the construction of a new 28-story mixed-use building consisting of 400 residential units, and about 2,400 square feet of first-floor retail space and associated site improvements. The project will provide much-needed housing for the Fenway neighborhood, including 68 affordable on-site units, along with a financial contribution to the Fenway CDC to support an off-site housing project. The project proposes substantial landscape, public realm, and street improvements, including a new all-day, year-round, publicly accessible open stairway and enclosed elevator that will join Ipswich Street and Boylston Street to create a more direct pedestrian connections to the Fenway, open spaces, and destinations. The project also proposes substantial financial contributions to the local and state agencies for parks and open space improvements. The Article 80 review process for this project began in November of 2021. The applicant worked with the BPDA, the city, and local neighborhood groups for several years to refine the project. Project recently received its BCDC design approval in June and BPDA board approval in July of last year. With that, I will turn it over to Brett to walk through some of the details of the projects, and then we'll summarize with some information on the zoning relief we're seeking, and then we'll be available to answer any questions. Thank you. Brett?
Great, thanks so much. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. Thank you for your time. We can advance to the next slide, please. So this is a very rich site. It's influenced by city scale, neighborhood scale, and also city block scale concerns. The site really has two frontages, one along Ipswich Street at a lower level and one along the Back Bay Fens on an upper level. The existing building is beyond its useful life. It does not do a good job of addressing its surroundings, but it does, however, include a very well-traveled but poorly lit stairway tucked into the neighboring building that provides a vital pedestrian connection between some of the vibrant activities around Fenway Park and the open space of the Fens, as well as provide a shortcut to East Fenway and the Back Bay beyond. We can go to the next slide, please. So just zooming out to consider some of the citywide context, this site sits at the intersection really of two histories of urban planning in Boston. The first is a 19th century emerald necklace, including the Back Bay Fens, and the second is a 20th century idea of the high spine concentrating height and larger floor plates along the turnpike. And these two different contexts really influence the massing and the materials of the building. Next slide, please. At the neighborhood level, this site, together with the Fenway Triangle where the Pierce is located, was identified as a gateway parcel in the zoning code. And together with Northeastern's Building H, these three parcels really form important gateway moments to the Fenway neighborhood and the Back Bay Fens parks. And just like Building H and the Pierce, we believe it's appropriate for a finely designed and tall building to mark these important moments in the city. Next slide. In this diagram, we're documenting the various forces that have shaped the building massing. The base zoning code allows 135 feet of building height, and the diagram in the upper left shows this height on the parcel. But based on our analysis of the site and also extensive input from the planning department's urban design staff and public comment, we adjusted the massing significantly to respect the setbacks from the neighboring buildings and also set the taller areas of the building away from the Fens to minimize the impact of shadows and wind on open space. Also importantly, the adjusted massing allows for the creation of a new public stair that's open to the sky and an elevator connecting Ipswich Street with the Back Bay Fens. I also just want to highlight our ambitious sustainability goals for this project, which include passive house certification. And to look at one metric, we're outperforming the city's greenhouse gas emissions targets with all electric systems and a very efficient building envelope. Next slide. Because of the significant grade change, this building essentially has two ground floor plans. This is the upper ground floor plan on Boylston Street. You can see the public stair and public elevator that's within the parcel boundaries and negotiates the 14-foot grade change down to Ipswich Street. That's on the upper right of this plan. There's also a public bathroom located in the public elevator lobby that was a direct request from the community. Next slide. On the lower ground floor plan along Ipswich Street, we've included the residential lobby and two retail spaces. Loading for the building's accomplished off-street with access from a shared alley, and there's no parking proposed for this site. Next slide. Our landscape improvements at Boylston Street at grade with the Back Bay Fens use the materials and details that are typical of the Emerald Necklace Parks. Next slide. And you can see that this public stair will be constructed of granite treads and risers. It also includes planting pockets in the retaining wall to reduce the scale of the grade change and really try to better integrate it with the landscape. Next slide, please. The building is designed to maximize the continuity between the public stair and the public elevator lobby. So the stone materials of the stair continue into the public elevator lobby, and a transparent glass curtain wall provides views between the stair and the lobby. Also at the base of the stair, we carved out the lower levels to really connect the stair with Ipswich Street and make it part of the public realm. Next slide. And just looking at the stair from further west along Ipswich Street, we worked really hard to make the stair feel open and connected to the street. Next slide. Then moving up to Boylston Street, we really carefully studied the pattern, the materials, the variety of the neighboring pre-war buildings to help inform the design of our building along this frontage. Next one. And the Boylston wing of the proposed building is really carefully calibrated to align with the neighboring parapet, and the brick and stone facade continues some of the major horizontal lines from the pre-war buildings. We've broken the facade into vertical bays to continue the dominant architectural character along Boylston Street. Next slide. And then moving a little further along Boylston Street to the Boker Overpass intersection, you can see how the massing of the building steps back from the park edge as it gets higher. The lower Boylston wing is detailed with warm earth tone bricks and sandstone to blend with the neighbors. And then that taller portion of the building is detailed with lighter tone bricks with projecting courses to create a more textured base where the building meets the ground. And then the taller section also picks up the theme of breaking the facade into vertical bays with angled faces that will catch the light in different ways throughout the day. Next slide. And here, looking at the building from across the muddy river in the Back Bay Fens, the stepped massing of the building is probably most apparent. And each of these terraces, landscaping on the roof decks will carry the image of greenery up the height of the building. Next slide. And just continuing around the building with the view from Lansdowne Street, the tower forms a nice terminus to the street, while the stepped massing allows for more distant views of Prudential Center. And then finally, on the next slide, this is the view from the Boker Overpass coming from Storrow Drive. The building marks this important gateway to the Fenway neighborhood. And the brick and the granite primary facade materials, the fine detailing that we've done around the windows with warm toned metal panels, and also some of the subtle inflections of the facade and the penthouse to catch the light, we think are going to present a refined and kind of classic design that we think will pass the test of time at this important site. So on the next slide, we'll move into some of the details of the zoning relief that we're requesting. The list is here. It's for FAR. Maximum FAR allowed of 9. What we're proposing is 14.3. This is all within the Gateway Development Area overlay. Maximum building height, as I mentioned earlier, 135 feet, proposing 279.8 feet. The rear yard setback variance is required for 20 feet because this parcel abuts a residential district. We're proposing 5 feet. There are dimensional regulations in Article 66 for setback above street wall height, which required is 15 feet, proposed is none. Minimum open space required, 30,000 square feet, proposed is 5,568. Maximum number of stories allowed is 8, proposed is 28. Street wall continuity is required, and it is not continuous as proposed. Off-street parking is also required at 300 spaces, and we're proposing none, and we're within the GCOD overlay as well. On the next slide, the major justifications for zoning relief here include that the site is irregularly shaped with 5 sides and 2 different street frontages. The existing buildings have mismatched floor plates, which really significantly limits their potential for reuse. The site varies quite dramatically in elevation based on unusual topography, with significant grade changes complicating the layout. And the proposed building massing minimizes effects on the neighborhoods and has gone through BPDA board and BCDC votes of approval. Next slide summarizes the primary public benefits. So we're addressing the acute housing shortage in the Fenway neighborhood, which includes providing 68 on-site affordable homes, which has increased from earlier submissions in the project. The project establishes a really important gateway to the neighborhood with the removal of an outdated office building. And as I was explaining, it connects Ipswich Street to the Emerald Necklace with a really transformative public stair and elevator. as well as providing an accessible public bathroom for Emerald Necklace visitors that's located off of that elevator lobby. We're improving the pedestrian experience of Ipswich Street with wider sidewalks, new plantings, and active uses at the ground floor. And the project is partnering in the preservation of open space around the fens with a number of local institutions, including contributing to the care and maintenance of the urban tree canopy and the fens, providing support to stakeholders to develop additional affordable housing, and also providing an opportunity for local MBE or WBE businesses at the Ipswich Street retail location. And then finally, on the last slide, this is a summary of the community benefits, which total over $3.1 million. So this includes both a mix of improvements that the project will take on as part of the construction, as well as contributions to government and nonprofit organizations to support the affordable housing, transportation improvements, parks and open space, and the subsidized retail space that I mentioned just before. And with that, thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Hearing none, may I have public
No,
testimony?
I do have some.
Okay.
Just trying to get my thoughts here. Do you know, thank you for that presentation. It was really great to see kind of the history of the urban design of the area and how your project tries to work with those two kind of urban languages. It was really nice to hear that. Can you tell me what types of amenities you're proposing for the project?
Certainly. So there are a number of amenities, both interior and exterior, that are proposed. On the Boylston level plan, there's a major amenity space that will have a number of the kind of typical residential amenities that we would see, both lounge spaces, co-working space, fitness, and the like. And then on the upper levels where the building terraces and steps back, will have amenities associated with some of the roof decks that provide the open space.
So they're mostly not for public, it's for the residents?
Currently, yes.
And in regards to, I know that you're not proposing any parking, and maybe the BPD project manager can help me answer some of these questions. You're proposing 200 bikes, and I was very curious about this. Has there been any study that you're aware of, or maybe BPD, where you have large-scale residential living, such as this, 400 residents, 400 units, and will 200 bikes actually be used? Because you're not doing a one-to-one. Typically, you would have to be required to do 400. And at what point, in terms of scale, does it become ridiculous? In terms of assuming that you're going to have 200 residents using bikes. And so I would love to hear a response, because I'm seeing this on large Article 80 projects and the kind of square footage that it uses for the building. So that's a question for you, and then a question for the BPD project manager that was assigned for this project.
Great. Well, not seeing the BPD project manager on the call immediately, I'll answer your question first, at least, which is, in addition to the bike room, we are providing 2 blue bike stations, one at Ipswich level, one at Boylston level. I see Scott Greenhall, who is our BPD project manager, who can answer this after me. Secondly, this developer operates a very similar building just a block away called The Bond on Boylston Street. And they undertook a number of studies relative to the bike room that they provided and the number of bikes that are in that space, given a very similar mix of unit types and sizes, and found that it was about a kind of 2 unit to 1 bike space was a comfortable ratio, given both the surrounding infrastructure of public transit, the blue bikes, in this mix. And I see Scott on the line if you want to take it from a policy perspective, Scott.
Thanks, Brett, and good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Greenhall, project manager in the Boston Planning Department's Development Review Division. I think what Brett said was accurate, and we did negotiate with Brett and his team that with them not doing the one-to-one bike to resident or to unit ratio, we did negotiate an additional bike share contribution to the bike share system.
Right, but have you actually studied with this higher density residential living, how many are actually using and storing bikes in buildings? You know, given that we removed requirements for parking.
Or I myself have not. I can check in with our transportation colleagues because I'm not an expert in transportation or bike storage, but I can.
I guess I'm trying to understand kind of the impact, right, in terms of what residents are using as modes of transportation, and if that ratio is appropriate because the usage is warranted. So if you can ask that from your department and let us know, because this is not the only project that we're starting to see 200, 300 bike storages.
Sure. Yeah, I can do that and get back to you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, one other question. I see in terms of the IDP is a 30% contribution. And Jeff, or actually Scott, you can answer this. Why was this project not reviewed to the newer increase of IDP? I think it's now 17%.
Sure.
That was basically put forward at the end of this past last year, in 2024.
Yes, it's because the project had filed its project notification form and draft project impact report prior to the effective date of the inclusionary zoning policy.
That's right. Okay, thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, just one question. Jeff, do you know if your client has chosen a GC yet?
I think it's premature to make that determination right now. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, can I have public testimony?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. This went through a lengthy community process overseen by the Boston Planning Development Agency, as well as input from state agencies as well, and a number of stakeholders were also consulted and connected. Many voices were in support of the proposal, citing the new housing units that will come online, specifically the affordable units to 68, as well as the extensive community benefits package that will also be delivered to benefit the community. As you saw the slide, benefits to existing structures that the Fenway CDC owns, as well as to DCR and public spaces being made for the Parks Department. There was a number of groups in support, including but not limited to the Fenway CDC, the Kenmore Business Association, DCR, BCDC. There were some voices in opposition, such as the Fenway Civic Association was opposed. The Muddy Water Initiative expressed opposition as well. The opposition was mostly focused on, I believe, concerns over the height of the proposed building and potential impact on shadows on the Emerald Necklace and the Muddy River itself. I believe the board should have access to all those letters of support and letters in opposition that we've made notice of. With that, we'll defer to the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, Madam Chair. Looks like there's a couple of raised hands here. Shaitan?
Oh, sorry, I'm Counselor Durkin.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Sorry, I've just been on for a couple. I know it took a while to get to here. So, dear Chair Dong and members of the board, I would like to voice my support for 100 to 120 Ipswich Street, otherwise known as 2 Charles Gate West. This project not only delivers affordable housing needs, pressuring our city and the Fenway, providing 400 units of housing with 17% on-site affordability, but also brings other host of benefits to the community through the collaboration of advocacy by my office and the public. Importantly, this project's community benefits and mitigation package has commitments to support important goals of the city, including resilient parks, safe transportation, equitable access to business opportunities, and a robust supply of affordable housing. Through this process, I advocated for the additional removal of 2 floors to provide protections to the parks. What we found by removing the 2 floors is that most of the shadow was moved from parkland to parkway. We also, I know that BCDC, there was an extensive process, and I think the design that the developer landed on is beautiful, and we have the opportunity here to support not only the growth of our city and the Fenway, but we have an opportunity to support the process that this went through. And last year, I sponsored an amendment to the City of Boston Code, Ordinances 7-4.10, also known as the Parkways Ordinance, prior to today's board meeting. This was duly passed by the City Council and signed by the mayor, avoiding the original BPDA proposal to subdivide the proponent's parcel and permit a proposed height of their parcel via this subdivision. By amending this ordinance, we prohibited the proponent from a creative strategy to subvert compliance with the parks and parkways protections. And through that, I think we solved a 20-year disagreement on whether this was a gateway parcel. And so I wanted to come to the ZBA today to give you that context. The greatest urban landscapes have proven that density and green space can and must coexist. Throughout the public review process, I witnessed the developer, whose main guidance was coming from the public, make design choices that created a livable experience around the building and create new connections to the Back Bay Fens. I urge the board to support this project today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Durkin.
Christian Simonelli, you hear from it?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Christian Simonelli, Boston Groundwater Trust, and we have both G-code letters from the applicant.
Okay, Minor?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Minor Perez, representing hundreds of union carpenters that live and work across the city of Boston. I want to go on record in support of this project. This was a long and arduous process, and thanks to Escape for hanging in there and accommodating the community on their needs. Thank you.
Shaitan?
Hello, everyone. My name is Shaitan Green, lifelong Boston resident, also business agent with the Boston Building Trades Union. We represent over 35,000 members and their families, also many of members and families who live directly in the area. We strongly believe that great projects help build strong communities, especially when you have an intentional focus on hiring a diverse workforce, women, people of color, residents, and also paying attention to safety, right? Unions invest millions into safety, also registered apprenticeships, making sure that people not only see the buildings going up and being built, but feeling like they also can be a part of it. And registered apprenticeships for sure help tackle that, as well as health and benefits. So this keeps people, having faith that we can live and thrive in the communities we live in, but also be a part of it. So Building Trades here, we speak in strong support of this project. Thank you.
Scott?
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. Again, my name is Scott Greenall, and I'm a project manager in the Development Review Division at the Planning Department. The proponent filed its project notification form for the project on November 5th, 2021, followed by a draft project impact report on December 7th, 2023. Between December 2021 and July 2024, 7 public and IAG meetings were appropriately advertised.
Scott, you're frozen? I don't know.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Now we can.
Okay. The project was approved by the Boston Civic Design Commission on June 25th, 2024, and the BPDA board approved the project on July 18th, 2024. This project successfully completed the Article 80 review process. Thank you.
Thank you.
couple more raised hands here. Edward?
Hi. Hi, thank you. My name is Ed Quinn, a real estate project manager at Fenway Community Development Corporation, a neighborhood-based organization working to preserve the Fenway as a vibrant, diverse neighborhood. We also have representation on the IIG for this project. Fenway CDC has had a positive experience with this developer on the previous bond project, both through the approval process perspective and how it's been operated post-completion. This Ipswich project site has been a long dilapidated site for some time. We feel that this project will be a great improvement to the existing conditions. It'll also bring critical benefits to the nearby park system and add much needed affordable housing to our neighborhood. In their design of the building and adjacent street and park areas, they have tried to strike the right balance while preserving the financial ability to move forward. We're very happy to support this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Pam, and then Declan.
Can you hear me? Good morning. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Pam Beal, and I'm the president of the Kenmore Association and a member of the Impact Advisory Group for this project. For the record, there's been extensive public process, and the proponent has worked very hard with the community to create a project that provides much-needed housing and invest in important public parks. Accordingly, I'm here today to speak in support of this project, and I hope that you vote in favor. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lynn? We can't hear you if you're talking. Declan?
Oh.
Okay, so no additional raised hands, Madam Chair.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to put forward a motion of approval with proviso that the project follows the BPD memorandum recommendations, and this is a really nice addition to see for our city.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yeah.
Ms. Benabraza?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Sorry, yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes, this is a well-thought-out proposal, especially for the unique circumstances of the lot.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go back to the
Next, we have case BOA.
Can you ask for 11:30 deferrals or withdrawals?
That would be a good idea, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
So with that, yes, we will ask if there are any requests for withdrawals for the 11:30 time frame.
Yes, my name is Andre Barboza. I would like to defer for 91 Howard Avenue. Requesting a later date.
93?
Howard.
Yes, it might be on 93. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So that would be for case BOA 1615071 with the address of 93 Howard Avenue. Would you go ahead and explain, please?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes, so we recently received the amended architectural drawings and uploaded it to the housing department website. We haven't received a response yet, so we're not ready to present at this time.
Caroline?
Just have a quick question. Are you aware if there are any additional zoning violations with the new drawings?
It actually should decrease.
Okay. We could do February 4th or February 25th.
I would say February 25th, just to give us some time, and also zoning and review.
Okay. May I have a motion?
Motion to
February
until
25th.
February 25th, 2025?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Ms. Benabraza?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion carries. See you then.
Thank you, guys.
Any other requests for withdrawals or deferrals from the 11:30 time frame?
8 Hudson Street, Mr. Secretary.
I'm sorry, 8 Hudson Street?
Yes, please.
Okay, so that would be for case BOA 1622743 with the address of 8 to 8A Hudson Street. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Stenbridge. Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Ryan Spitz with Adams and Moranci, business address of 168 H Street, first floor, South Boston. We're here to request an administrative deferral to be heard in front of a full 7-member board. We would like an expedited hearing date if it is possible, considering this is the second deferral and we're ready to proceed. But again, we would just like to be heard in front of a 7-member board. Thank you.
We could do February 4th.
That works for me.
May I have a motion?
Motion to defer until February 4th.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Ms. Better Brazza?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. See you then.
Thank you.
548 East 3rd Street, please.
So that would be for case BOA 1542657 with the address of 548 East 3rd Street. Go ahead, Attorney Ross.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is Mike Ross from the law firm of Prince Lavelle, One International Place. The zoning staff on this one required more time to process changes that were made to the plans based on comments made by board members in Boston Planning at our last hearing. The plans are submitted. We're just waiting for the plan reviewers sign off, and for that reason, I'm seeking a deferral. We would be ready to present at your next available meeting.
We could do February 4th.
That would be great for me.
So can Mr. Stenbridge read it into the record first? Did I miss that?
So that would be for case BOA 1542657 with the address of 548 East 3rd Street.
Okay, may I have a motion?
Motion to defer until February 4th of this year.
Second. Thank you. Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Ms. Better Brazza?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Akins?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion carries. See you then.
Thank you all.
58 Baxter Street, Mr. Secretary.
So that would be for case BOA 1649361 with the address of 58 Baxter Street. Would you go ahead and explain, please?
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. James Christopher of 686 Architects with the business address of 10 Forbes Road in Braintree, Mass. Requesting a very brief administrative deferral so that we may seek a full board. Thank you.
Caroline?
We could do February 4th.
Thank you.
May I have a motion?
Motion to defer until February 4th, 2025.
May I have a second? Sorry, did I miss the second?
Second.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Stenbridge?
Yeah.
Ms. Better Brazza?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries.
If there are no further requests for withdrawals or deferrals, then what we have, we'll move on to case BOA 1552298. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize, Madam Chair. We haven't finished with the 11 a.m. case.
Yes, please.
So, we turn to case BOA 1677859 with the address of 403 to 405 Sherman Avenue. If the applicant and or their representative are present, they please explain the case to the board.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. I'm Jacob Taylor with Klein Hornig LLP, and our address is 101 Arch Street in Boston. I'm counsel to Inquilinos Boricuas en Acción, or IBA, a nonprofit community development corporation with a long history of developing and preserving affordable housing in the South End. We're bringing this matter back to the board after removing a planned ground floor residential unit at 403 to 405 Shawmut Ave based on feedback from the city. The 403 to 405 Shawmut project is being undertaken as a component of the larger Casas Borinquen project. Casas Borinquen is a 36-unit scattered site affordable housing development located at various addresses on Shawmut Ave, Tremont Street, Aguadilla Street, West Brookline Street, and Upton Street in the south end. EBA intends to rehabilitate these properties and preserve them as affordable housing. In connection with this, EBA also intends to convert another project in its portfolio, located at 403 to 405 Shawmut Ave, from underutilized office and community center use to 5 new units of affordable housing. We're now planning to continue the existing community center use on the ground floor of this building. The board granted relief with respect to the rehabilitation of the existing 36-unit residential project in November of last year. At that time, representatives of the planning department expressed concerns related to the planned ground floor residential use at 403 to 405 Shawmut and the potential for flooding. And consequently, our request for relief for this site was not approved. This element of the project has since been redesigned to remove this ground floor residential unit. The 403 to 405 Shawmut site is within the MFR subdistrict and groundwater conservation overlay district. The development of the 403 to 405 Shawmut Ave site into 5 units of affordable housing with continued ground floor community center use requires relief as follows. A conditional use permit under Article 32, Section 4 due to GCOD applicability, variance under Article 64, Section 36 with respect to off-street parking, variance under Article 64, Section 9 with respect to usable open space, and a variance under Article 64, Section 9 with respect to floor area ratio, since there'll be a small increase in countable internal floor area due to building reconfiguration and a decrease in mechanical space. There's no change in building envelope plan for the 403 to 405 Shawmut Ave site. An applicant has obtained Boston Water Sewer Commission approval of a groundwater recharge system, and an approval letter is on file with the board, as well as a no harm letter from our civil engineer, DeVilla Serene. We note that our understanding is that the board approved the conditional use permit with respect to GCOD at the prior hearing, but we ask that this approval be incorporated into the relief requested today so that the record is clear. EBA has held a number of community meetings with neighbors and abutters and has received positive feedback regarding this proposed project. And with that, if there's no questions at this time, I'll turn it over to Jason DeLong of EBA to provide a little more background on EBA and on this project.
Thank you, Jacob. Good morning, and thank you all for your time today. My name is Jason DeLong, and I am the Director of Facilities for EBA. EBA has been an integral part of the South End since 1968 and is a nationally recognized community development corporation dedicated to empowering individuals and families to improve their lives and achieve socioeconomic mobility through high-quality affordable housing, education, financial and resident empowerment, and arts programs. EBA currently has 667 units of affordable housing in its portfolio, along with 5 community programs, including early education, youth development, financial empowerment, resident services, and the arts. We appreciate the board's previous approval of the 36 other units that are involved in this project during our last meeting in November. This project will create 5 more units of affordable housing and retain the community space on the first floor. We are very excited to contribute to the housing needs of our city and state during this time when it is so very needed. With that, I'll turn it over to Leah Shealy of Davis Square Architects to provide more background on the site and the project. Leah?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Leah Shealy. I'm an associate at Davis Square Architects. As Jacob mentioned earlier, Casas Borinquen is a project that's comprised of 36 existing units and 5 proposed new units scattered between 10 buildings in the South End neighborhood of Boston. Can you go to the next slide, please? You can see all of them on the map here. 403 Shawmut is located in the very bottom of the screen. Next slide, please. The building that we are specifically discussing today with these slides is 403 to 405 Shawmut Ave, where we propose to convert the upper floors to affordable rental apartments and retain the first floor as community use. The current slide shows the survey of the existing building and its relationship to the existing sidewalk and adjacent properties. As you can see, the building is on the property line on all sides and located on a street corner with 2 sidewalks. The chart shows the highlighted zoning items, which were already noted earlier in the presentation. Next slide, please. The photos of the exterior show the existing masonry building located on the sidewalk on 2 sides, with 2 adjacent properties abutting it on the side and rear of the building. There's a small section of the rear of the building that is visible from the rear common alleyway. Next slide, please. The FAR diagram shows the existing storage room that is being removed on floors 2, 4, and 5, which will be added to the floor area of the converted upper floor into 5 residential units, slightly increasing the FAR of the building. Next slide. The first floor plan shows the revisions that were discussed from the previous ZBA meeting, where we are retaining the community use at the first floor with the new residential lobby off of Shawmut Ave, and not proposing to convert the first floor to residential use any longer. Next slide. This last slide shows the typical conversion of the upper floor into 5 new 2-bedroom units, utilizing the existing stairs and refurbished elevator. Thank you, and let me know if you have any questions on this presentation.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
I have a question. For the applicant, has the Boston Landmarks already done a review for the exterior? It seems like you're not really making any modifications, but I just wanted to make sure.
Are you talking South End Landmarks? We have.
Yes, South End Landmarks.
Yep, we have gone through reviews with them and received all approvals for the exterior. We're just doing, the only thing on this building is new windows, but mostly it's masonry restoration.
Correct. Okay, great. I was just trying to wrap my head around the BPD recommendations, but thanks for clearing that up. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, can I have public testimony?
Still morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Eva Jones, representing the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. Regarding 403 to 405 Shawmut Ave, our office will defer to the board's judgment on this matter. A community process was conducted, including an abutters meeting held on 10/15, which was attended by 10 constituents. The primary feedback of this meeting was support for the proposal and also for what IBA works towards. Additionally, the proposal was reviewed with the Blackstone Franklin Square Neighborhood Association, which convened prior to the abutters meeting, with other civic associations that are also associated with IBA's other projects. All civic associations expressed support regarding the proposal as well. At this time, the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services defers to the board's decision. Thank you, everyone, for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, the members of the board. Laura Toledano here from Councilor Flee's office. Councilor Flee provided a letter of support to the board this morning and would like to go on record support based on a good community process and feedback from neighbors. He would like to respectfully request that the proponent continue to work with the community on any quality of life issues that arise during the construction phase. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christian? Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Christian Simonelli, Boston Groundwater Trust, and we have both G-card letters from the applicant.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. And sure, looks like, okay, we have no additional raised hands at the moment.
Thank you. With that, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to put forward a motion of approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stembridge?
Yes.
Ms. Better-Brazza?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. And I'm told we need to go to the 12 p.m. interpretation in less than a minute.
Are we pausing for a minute, Madam Chair, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, let's do the interpretation.
Sounds good.
Chair, if I may, it's Attorney Richard Lins. I'm just speaking with my client because it is a 5-member board. I just want to clarify whether he's going to proceed or not. Can I get a brief second call on this, perhaps maybe in 10 minutes?
So why don't we take a 15-minute break now then?
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.
Stenbridge?
Present, Madam Chair.
Ms. Benabraza?
Present.
Mr. Collins?
Present.
Mr. Aiken?
Present.
All right, the floor is yours, Mr. Stenbridge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And we have someone who was discussing with their client about the interpretation case for, unless you're reading, sir.
Yes, Mr. Stenbridge, it's Attorney Richard Lenz. Thank you.
Okay. So for the interpretation case, he tried to say, get it for 12 p.m. That is case BOA 1675736 with the address of 123 to 125 Broad Street. We'll go ahead, Attorney Lenz.
Thank you, Mr. Stenbridge. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. For the record, my name is Richard Lenz. I'm an attorney with a business address of 245 Sumner Street in East Boston. With me is also Arthur Chu, who is now our architect of record. I represent the petitioner with respect to the matters before the board. If you can bear with me just briefly, Madam Chair, members of the board, I just want to make sure I set the context here. This has been back and forth before the board several times on a number of potential interpretation issues that we were successful in resolving with ISD regarding GCOD. This project involves a small office to residential conversion at Broad Street, which includes the addition of 6 residential units in the building, one on each level. When we have proceeded with this, we were cited for GCOD originally based upon ISD's interpretation of the total cost of the project. And we have successfully resolved that issue with ISD, so that determination was ultimately removed. As we were preparing to finalize the project, we were then cited for GCOD again, and the basis of that was that we were exceeding the 50 square foot threshold that Article 32 sets forth for purposes of requiring GCOD. I will say that I do recognize that we are a 5-member board. My client has made a substantial investment in this project, and we certainly want to proceed, as it is costly to continue without finalizing this and getting to a CO. So my client is prepared to proceed. However, if the board is not inclined to understand our position, we're going to respectfully request a deferral at that time. But I think it's important the board hear what we're showing. So we can jump to slide 4, please. That would be helpful. So what we're showing here is the rear of the building, and there's actually 2 components to our appeal here. First involves the GCOD interpretation. If you look at the back of the building, there are existing conditions, including a platform that handled a lot of condensers and mechanical equipment, and this is located to the rear of 125 Broad Street. In connection with the conversion to residential, the requirement for additional egress was something that we had worked through with ISD and ultimately with the Board of Building Regulations and Standards. If we could jump to the next slide, please. So as part of our process with the BDRS, the inclusion of this egress on the back of the building by way of fire escape was authorized. And as you can see, it is within the limits generally of the platform where the prior location of the mechanicals was located. The only area that extends beyond where we're at with the platform is the stairwell that you can see in the lower right portion of the screen. And that stairwell is the only protrusion into the lot area, and therefore that would be the only area where the 50 square feet would come into question. We determined that that is well below 50 square feet based upon the extent of how those stairs exceed the platform, and therefore this would be below the threshold for triggering GCOD in this particular case. So what we're asking with respect to the GCOD component of our appeal is that the board determine that GCOD in this instance only is not applicable and no conditional use permit is required for purposes of determining whether this is subject to those provisions. The second part of our appeal involves a little bit of a different issue. If we want to jump down to slide 12, that's our section plan. So in connection with the authorization by the BDRS, maybe slide 13, I apologize, next slide. In connection with our determination by BDRS to allow for the addition of the fire escape, one of the items that the BDRS had indicated that would make this permissible is to have an awning over the upper level, which makes sense for purposes of ensuring safety and to reduce the accumulation of snow, et cetera. That awning, as shown here in the elevation plan, would be at or just below the highest point of the existing roof. In this sub-district, the maximum height limit is 65 feet. The building itself is already, I believe, a little bit over 85 feet. We're not proposing anything. If you jump back to slide 12, you can see in the section plan, we're not proposing anything that would be higher than the highest point of the roof. In fact, it would simply be limited to just off of the rear portion of the building and the roof that's already existing. So in order for that awning, which the BVRS required be included, to be added to covering the stairwell, we would require relief from the code for that one area for height. And the reason is that 65 feet, again, is the maximum height, and this awning would be at around 85 feet, which is the height of the building. That is the extent of the request that we're asking. We believe it's very straightforward, and as I said, in discussing with my client, we understand the risks of a 5-member board, but based upon the importance of getting this project completed, we do have tenants who are prepared to take up leases with this building. And I do believe that the Boston Planning Department has made a recommendation that to the extent relief is required, that they've recommended approval. I'm happy to pause there, Madam Chair, and answer any questions from the board.
Thank you. Are there questions from the board?
Yes, when you mention BBRS, are you stating that you met with board members there and they advised you? Can you expand a little bit?
But we actually had a hearing before the BBRS on the use, and I do have Ms. Pedraza. I believe the approval of BBRS is in the packet that I provided.
Okay, great. I think you just clarified that you did have indeed a hearing, not an advisory meeting. Okay.
That's correct. Yep.
And the awning would be structurally sound. You would extend posts from this fire egress stair. It's not something that is going to be cantilevered.
That is correct. We build it in accordance with building code requirement and BBRS indications. Yep.
Okay. Great. I don't have any further questions.
Madam Chair.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. I did review the BBRS decision. It seemed pretty straightforward to me from a building height standpoint piece. I'm certainly not involved in other building code related items, but I think I'm still not 100% clear on where GCOT is at this point. It was resolved and now it is back, and trying to understand where the compliance then lies with that in terms of moving the project forward.
Sure. Thank you. And through the chair, Mr. Aiken, when we originally were working through our plans with ISD on this project, it was submitted as an as-of-right project. Right. The conversation that initially triggered interpretation was based upon ISD's determination that the cost exceeded 50% of the value of the building.
Yes, I remember all of that material.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So what ultimately happened is the BVRS entered the equation. The design of the fire escape was completed, and again, there's no setback requirement, so that is an as-of-right design. The stairwell, that is the bottom portion as shown in the slide, is the only portion that protrudes beyond what I would say the existing envelope of the building is, and clearly less than 50 square feet. However, inspectional services cited that as being, a reason for GCOT jurisdiction. And we disagree, because you would have to have more than 50 square feet in order for that to be triggered.
Okay, I understand the explanation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aiken.
Thank you. Other questions from the board? I understand someone from ISD is here to speak. Mr. Williams?
I'm here to speak. So I think everything has been
Can you just
described.
identify yourself?
I'm sorry, Paul Williams, Assistant Commissioner of Plans and Zoning here at ISD. Yeah, everything seems to have been described fairly accurately with respect to the height of the building. It was cited simply because the current zoning height for the area is 65 feet. So it was an existing nonconformity. So that's why it was cited. But as stated, the existing building is 85 feet. But we cited it because it's an existing nonconformity. With respect to the G-cod, the issue is partly the footings of the stairs. My conversation with the plans examiner, he didn't have sufficient detail of the footings, and so he continued to cite the G-cod, but as stated correctly, the original reason it was cited was because the interpretation that the construction of the building exceeded 50%. That was resolved, but I think that it was recited because it wasn't clear from the drawings what the footings, how the footings were going to be set, and that was primarily the reason why it was recited.
Madam Chair, if I may, we do have a photo of the footings which clearly show they're less than 50 square feet as well. If we wanted to jump back, I think it's either slide 5 or 6. Maybe slides, there we go. Yeah, so it's a very small area for those footings that we're at.
Mr. Williams?
As I said, my understanding is that that detail wasn't available to the plans examiner, and that's why he cited the G-code.
Yep, understood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the board?
No, thank you, Commissioner Williams. That really clarified your position within your department, and I think we have enough information to put forward the motion.
May I have a motion?
I would like to put forward a motion of approval for the applicant request for the two issues that are presented in front of us in regards to G-cod, that it does not apply, given the information that's been presented, and the other height violation that you're requesting a relief of the code, correct?
That is correct.
That's right, of the building code. So we would like to also provide a relief for that.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Ms. Better-Brazza?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
And with that, we will return to the cases for 11:30. And bear with me, please. Which takes us to case BOA 1552298.
Mr. Stenbridge, we still have Redden Street from 11 a.m.?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, thank you, folks, for your patience. Which takes us to case BOA 1661825 with the address of 188 Redden Street. If the applicant and or their representative are present, would they please explain?
Yes. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board.
My name is Bhatri Vajravelu, and I'm here with my wife, Bhuwana. And we really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all today. Am I allowed to share my screen so that I can put up a short presentation about our project?
No, we have whatever you submitted, so you can speak to the slides in front of you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So we understand the importance of the zoning code in preserving the character and functionality of our community. And we also recognize that our proposal for the accessible bathroom project was initially declined due to a perceived conflict with the local zoning regulation. And today I'm here to respectfully request a reconsideration of our project. And my goal is to explain why this accessible bathroom is absolutely essential for my needs. So I'm a person with a rare genetic disorder called limb girdle muscular dystrophy. And this disorder has resulted in me losing my muscle strength all over my body gradually. I was an active sportsman, but from my early 20s, I've started losing my muscle power. So my legs and hands have become progressively weaker. We got into this property, we purchased this property in 2021, and then I suffered a fracture in 2022, which further accelerated the weakness. And our property here doesn't have a full bathroom at the first level. We have a full bathroom only at the second level, and I use a chairlift to go upstairs. And to use the chairlift, I still need some help from a person. It is either my wife or a personal care assistant. But due to my progressive weakness, even using the chairlift has become more and more difficult. So we now converted a family room into our bedroom at the first level, but still we don't have a full bath at the first level, which means my PCA is available only 3 days in a week. So those are the only 3 days where my PCA can actually lift me and transfer onto the chairlift. My wife is a very petite lady. She doesn't have the strength to lift me. So this has left me taking shower only 3 days in a week. And that's how we have been, doing in the past 2 years. And therefore, having this bathroom will be absolutely essential to maintain hygiene and also to give the space that I'm going to need because of my progressive disability. I'm in the process of transitioning to a bigger power chair. Right now I use a small scooter, but this is becoming more and more unsafe for me, which also resulted in a fall injury and a fracture. So the power chair is going to be much wider, and the bathroom upstairs doesn't even have that much of a space. And at some point in time, I'll also be using a Hoyer lift, which is kind of a patient lift because of my decreasing core body strength and strength in the arms and legs. And also, I will be using a reclining shower chair, which means I will have to take shower in a flat position, lying down position. All these things require a 6 feet clearance, like I'm 5'11" in height. So if I have to lie down to take a shower, that's going to be a 6 feet clearance. And that is the reason for our proposal for an accessible bathroom, which will be parallel to our dining room and for the dimensions of like 14.2 and 7 feet in dimension. So this will be a completely ADA friendly, the dimensions are according to the ADA requirements. And this would also allow me to use a bigger power chair and also the patient lift because of my progressive disability. And we understand this violates the setback requirements, and I respectfully request the committee to consider my progressive nature of my disability and also the daily needs of me. And we also have a 10-month-old baby now, and my wife is, and as she grows up, I really wanted to, make sure that she doesn't see me struggling in using the bathroom. And right now we have a half bath at the first level. We can't even close the door at the half bath. So we kind of use a shower curtain, kind of a curtain to hide it. And very soon our daughter is gonna peep in, and I don't want to have any such situations happen. And that is, a very important reason why I kindly request the board to reconsider our request and please approve our variance.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that explanation. We appreciate it. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, may we have public testimony?
Madam Chair and members of the board, Siggy Johnson with the Office of Neighborhood Services. This petitioner has completed the ONS community process. We have asked the petitioner to distribute an informational flyer to the 300-foot abutters radius, which solicited one letter of support from a direct abutter. No other comments were received. Proponent additionally presented to the West Roxbury Neighborhood Council, which is in support. And our office, the Office of Neighborhood Services, would also like to express our support for the release. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and Madam Chair, we have no raised hands at the moment.
With that, may I have a motion?
I'll make a motion for approval.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Ms. Benabraza?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and members of the board.
Thank you.
At this point, we will move on to the rediscussion scheduled for 11:30. And there we have case BOA 1552298 with the address of 27 Dudley Street. If the applicant and or their representative are present, will they please explain the case to the board?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Cameron Merrill, professional office at 100 State Street, Boston, Massachusetts. With me is Peter Vanko, architect on this project. You may recall this had originally been submitted several months ago, and there was some confusion regarding the plans, which the Inspection Services Department had sought clarification. It was then reviewed as of the last date, but unfortunately not included in the board's packet, which is why we are here now. Effectively, this was a previously permitted and approved by this board 6-unit project, which had an unusual duplex at the rear, which it has now been determined will better suit the community and this applicant to divide that duplex into 2 separate units with adequate facilities for each. This is a project which is fairly simple, requires no modification or added square footage. There's appropriate parking provided for these units, and we believe that this is a project that should be approved by the board. If you have any questions in particular, we're happy to go over them and discuss them, and Peter Vanko can answer those questions. Otherwise, we appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. Are there questions from the board? Hearing none, may I have public testimony?
Madam Chair and members of the board, for the record, my name is Jeremy Bembury. I'm the Roxbury Community Engagement Specialist for the Office of Neighborhood Services. The applicant has completed the community process, which consisted of an abutters meeting held on May 21st, where 2 abutters did voice support with very few inquiries that were addressed during the meeting. The project then went before HPNC, Hyde Park Neighborhood Coalition, Highland Park Neighborhood Coalition, who voted to support the project under the condition of establishing rent for the newly created studio apartment as an 80% AMI rental property. Thank you for your time, and the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services would like to defer to the board for the judgment at this time.
And Madam Chair, we have no raised hands at the moment.
Thank you. With that, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I put forward a motion of approval.
Is there a second? Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Ms. Benabraza?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then with that, I will see you all next hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day, folks.
Thank you.